Hello, good morning, everybody. And it's great to have you all in the house this morning for our employability webinar for the month of August. This morning, we have with us our facilitator, Testimony Asiagwu, the CEO of BIGT InfoTech Solutions Limited, an edtech organization dedicated to empowering students and educators with information technology skills to address societal challenges and prepare for the future of work. He's also the founder and executive director of the Robotics for Kids Africa STEM initiative, where he leads efforts to teach robotics, coding, STEM, and digital skills to students and young adults, equipping them with tools to thrive in the evolving job market. He's a youth ambassador, multi award winner, and international speaker. Testimony is also a United Nations SDG for advocates. He holds an executive MBA from the Quantic School of Business and Technology, USA, and completed leadership in business training at the University of Notre Dame, Indiana, USA. Testimony is deeply committed to leveraging technology as a transformative tool to secure a bright future for Africa's next generation. He believes that access to quality education at the community level is a cornerstone for driving social economic growth and prosperity. He will be speaking to the topic this morning, career opportunities in robotics. With a hand of applause, let's welcome Testimony Asiagwu as he takes over. Over to you, Testimony.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Thank you very much for the warm introduction. Thank you, everyone, and this is across Nigeria. Thank you for taking out time to listen to this. I want to also thank the US Embassy through the American Space Corner led by Mr. Samuel Itayo for the rare opportunity. I'm always passionate when I get invited to speak on topics like this because it gives me great joy that Africa and Nigeria indeed is heading to the right direction. And opportunities like this is also a way to collaborate with the US government with some of the very great work they're doing in Nigeria. So thank you very much again. And give yourselves a big round of applause wherever you are. You deserve that yourself. Thank you so much for joining. So today I'm going to be talking about something that, like I said, really very passionate about. And this is an area where it's coming up very strongly. STEM, robotics, AI, artificial intelligence, like you all know it, is something that is taking the stage globally. And daily, you have innovation and groundbreaking breakthroughs that are coming up in robotics and in the STEM areas. So I'm going to be sharing my screen. I'm going to be talking about career opportunities in robotics. And I would need you to pay close attention. At the same time, get your questions ready because I want to make this as interactive as possible. So if you do have questions, just let me know towards the end. I'm sure there'll be an opportunity for questions and answers. So yeah, give me a moment while I share my screen and then we can begin. If you can see my screen, just reply with an emoji or just, I can see a lot of questions, so I just maybe with a wave of hand, I'll be able to know that my screen can be seen. Thank you so much. Yeah, I can see the emoji coming in. So what we'll be talking about today is career opportunities in robotics, like the person who introduced me, my name is Testimony Asiagwu, and I'm the founder and executive director of Robotics for Kids, Africa STEM Initiative. And what we simply do is to bridge the digital skills gap across schools and educators in Nigeria. So if you notice my screen, the picture on your left is that was taken at Purdue University in 2023 while I was in Indiana, and I had the opportunity to be part of a robotics exhibition. So I was really fascinated by that robot, and I had to pick it up for a quick picture. So let's begin, shall we? So very quickly, what exactly is robotics, and why are we talking about robotics? That's I think something that we should start from. So why robotics? I mean, there are a lot of topics we could talk about, but then why robotics? So robotics is changing the narratives globally. It's moving. Before we always think about robotics being in the laboratory, factories. Laboratories, but now it's moving from laboratories now to our day-to-day lives, from factories, farms, hospitals, logistics, defense, and entertainment. In defense, you have, which we'll talk about down the line, you have the UGVs and UAVs. UGVs means an unmanned ground vehicles used in fighting, and the UAVs, unmanned aerial vehicles, also using. These are technologies that, so once it's unmanned, it's a robot that is definitely handling some of these affairs. So down the line, we're going to talk about robots, because we all think that robots must have a head, 2 hands, and 2 legs. But then we'll get to look at some of the qualities on why we probably would discuss about what exactly we mean by robotics. So Nigeria's population is really growing at a very rapid pace. And of course, that also involves the startup area and also the push for artificial intelligence. So there's a massive demand for automation to be able to meet up with that quantity and number of users we get to serve on a daily basis, from the hospitals to the schools to the banking sector and the financial sector. These are big areas. So drone factories have to come up to help with agriculture. You have bionic devices engineered by Nigerian innovators. And I want to also emphasize greatly the work that is being done by the US government in terms of the tech women, the consulate-backed robotics program, and the first global team in Nigeria. So robotics is something really huge, and I would be happy if you can start thinking in that direction. It's something that is here to stay with us. And like I would always say, for us in Nigeria, that's the new oil. I mean, AI, STEM, robotics is the new oil, because Nigeria, of course, is known for its oil production, crude oil production. So that's exactly why we're talking about robotics, because it's really very important now. It's groundbreaking in so many ways, and Nigeria has started keying in. And the future of the country relies greatly on how well we're able to keying into that sector. So I think this brings me now to the question as what exactly counts as robotics? Because a lot of times we always misunderstand the key concepts of robotics. So what exactly counts as robotics? So I'm going to give you a rundown of exactly areas that counts as robotics. I mean, these are contextual areas. It's not limited to some of these things you've seen, but these are key contextual areas. So you have the mechatronics hardware. Okay, so mechatronics hardware has to do with motors, sensors, powers, and mechanism. In fact, as a matter of fact, there is a course in most of our Nigerian universities today that it's about mechatronics engineering. So if you're going in for a course like mechatronics engineering, that's exactly what you're going in for. I mean, you have to begin to deal with hardwares that get to make our work easier, sensors and all of that. Then you also have what you call the embedded and real-time. So these are these are devices like microcontrollers. You have the Arduino Unos, the STM32, ESP32. I'm going to be trying to make some of these things. They're a bit strange to you, I'm sure, but so you also have the RTOs, real-time operating systems. So real-time operating systems, just like you have several operating systems, you have the Microsoft operating system, you have the for computing, I mean, you have other forms of operating systems, as it were, Linux and all of that. So you also have operating systems tailored specifically for robotics, And then you also have what you call the perception system. These are cameras, LID, AR. So some of these things, in a nutshell, what it simply means is understanding your environment and how to be able to interact with that environment, object detection, and all of that. So so when you see typical robots with the eyes, right? Now that eye is not just your regular human eye, of course. So it's able to understand, oh, there's an obstacle 30 meters ahead. It's able to read your maps to understand the distance, calculate distance, and all of that. So that's exactly what perception in terms of robotics mean. Sorry, please, if you can hear me, can you just signify with an emoji so I understand that I'm still together with you? If you can hear me, please just, yeah, thank you. So, thank you. So, our internet network can be very funny at times. So you might not be speaking and you don't realize that people disconnected. All right, so thank you very much. So you have planning and control. You have under planning and control, you have kinematics, SLAM, NPCs. These are also key areas in robotics. Because systems and simulation, Gesbo, Isaac, Unity. These areas, some of the MATLAB, Simulate, these are some of the materials, softwares most likely, especially used in simulation. So you want to simulate maybe a real-time environment. You want to be able to understand what behavioral patterns of what the robots can do in such environment and all of that. NVIDIA is a very great manufacturer of some of these simulation softwares and hardwares as well. So these are very great. These are very great examples. And then you also have the cloud and edge. And these are machine learning models on devices. So you're able to, that area is probably, you talk about DevOps and all of that. So in a nutshell, if you look at the image on your left, there's a little inscription I had to put there. So robotics is not only equal to humanoids, right? So when you hear robotics, you don't think it's only the robots doing some form of acrobatic or all of that. Okay, it's not just humanoid, it's hardware. And if there's anything I think you should take out of today's talk, this is it. So your robotics is hardware, software, and systems integration. It's an all three system. So not just the physical hardware you're seeing, that's inclusive. It also includes the software and it also includes the systems integration. So speaking about career in robotics now, you can decide to pick on any of these areas to focus your interest on. So you could decide to be the hardware freak to build maybe tailor better models of robots. You could decide to be on the software end. You want to be able to engineer robots that are able to do, quantum mechanics, like they're able to interact as though it was a real human being. A lot of artificial intelligence around that area. So, and then you also have systems integration, how you can also integrate this to your data. So it's one thing to understand how the hardware works. It's one thing to also learn the software, and then it's another thing entirely to
HMD Global, can you please mute your microphone?
Thank you, Grace. Please, housekeeping rule. If you are not the one speaking, please mute yourself. Thank you.
I don't know. Okay.
I think we lost our speaker, but it's just
Yeah, I'm sorry.
trying to. Okay, awesome.
Yeah, I think I got kicked out for a moment there.
I'll come back.
Okay, all right. Are we together now, please?
Please go ahead.
All right, thank you very much. So I was saying that when you think about robotics, you don't just think about just the humanoid, which is what you see that has the head, the hands, and the legs, and the eye, and can talk and speak and all of that. Now, for you to have that, it involves the hardware. A lot of persons also are concentrating in that regard in terms of building the hardware. I mean, you could have sleeker humans, I mean, real life humans, I mean, because the materials are also involved. So the kind of material you use in building the robot. So that's the hardware. Then you also have the software. So the software has everything to do. I mean, if you look at your left, you see where I talked about the embedded real-time system simulation and all of that. So that's exactly the software. And then of course the system integration, how you integrate that in our day-to-day aspect. So that exactly in a nutshell is what counts as robotics. That exactly in a nutshell is what counts as robotics. So very quickly, now to more or less the meat of the matter, which is what are the pathways? I mean, so just like literally every sector we have, there are actually pathways to, I mean, operating in that sector. I'm a robotics and STEM advocate. Of course, I'm probably on the advocacy and training aspect, while some persons are probably on the building and manufacturing of the real robots and all of that. So there are several pathways that qualifies you to say you progressing in a career in robotics, right? So they are not limited to these 10 that I've highlighted, but then they are mostly revolving around this 10. The first one is a technician or an assembler, okay? So you have your drones, you have your manufacturing lines, maybe something you're building. Somebody has to assemble that, right? If you don't have an understanding of how it should be assembled, then you're not going to assemble it correctly. So you might have built, somebody might have created the software, built the systems, because if you also don't connect the parts accurately, so for those of us who are probably in the edtech area, robotics, now you program a robot, but then you don't connect the parts well, the robot would actually not function the way it's supposed to function. So if you say move maybe 20 steps forward, and then you didn't connect it in the proper way, it probably might just move 20 steps backward, thinking it's forward. So so that's another aspect. So that's why you could also be a technician. You could just be interested in not just assembling, you could also fix. Okay, so if there's a faulty part, you could also what dismantle and fix. And then there's another aspect, which is what the robotics software engineer, right? The robotics software engineer. I mean, this is an area that is really vast. I mean, permit me to mention one of the renowned software robotics engineer in the world, who is probably the highest paid. I'm sure you've probably heard about that. Silas Adekule. I mean, he's doing amazingly well. This is an area he's very, very notable for. So software engineering, you have, of course, for those who want to study software engineering, this is an aspect. So you could decide to major in the robotics software aspects. You have the C++, Python, ROS. So there are a whole lot of softwares in that area. I'm not going to mention all of them. I mean, Arduino is one of them. MATLAB is one of them. So there are a whole lot of them, right? And the good thing about it is just because you're within the software circle of robotics engineering, you get to what you could learn A and then be able to transition to B and keep building and all of that. And I strongly believe that there are more softwares coming up with the adventure of agentic AIs, agent AIs. So you have a lot of more softwares coming up that will be able to tackle some of the needs that are in the future. So we also have perception and machine learning engineer. So you would want to build a robot. You would want to be able to do a whole lot of machine learning programming around that, motion planning, kinetics, kinematics, and NPCs. So these are key areas you could decide to focus on. So you could decide to train a model, machine learning. You decide to train a model to say, okay, in instances like this is the reaction and all of that. So it's also very crucial. You could as well do that. You have an embedded firmware engineer, microcontroller units, drivers, and all of that. So firmware are literally more like a mixture of hardware and software because you're able to program a bit of what you call circuits, microcontrollers, and all of that to be able to perform a setting. So it also involves you even building such microcontrollers. Okay, so that's a firmware engineer, right? I mean, these are pathways. For instance, if you're looking towards getting an employment with NVIDIA, these are great areas. So you also have a validation engineer. This is where safety comes in. You know, when this is a new sector, and then you have a lot of presence. Well, new sector to a very large extent, as a way. I would use that word sparingly. That's because you have a lot of safety concerns, privacy controls, and all of that across the world. So you could also be a validation engineer, just like you would have in your typical engineering where you have a safety engineer. All the person is ensuring that human safety is priority. And so you could decide to ensure that, oh, well, I want to be a safety engineer when it comes to robotics. And that's, of course, there are courses for that as well that qualifies you to be a safety engineer in robotics. So you could also be a field application or support personnel for deployment, for customer success. So you build a robot, you've sold it out, you want to ensure that so you understand that in our day-to-day world today, when you talk about customer validation or customer success or customer care as it were, someone might buy your services of a robot or a robotics resource or something, and they're having issues with it. As a customer engagement personnel, you should be able to help. Well, and for you to be able to help, it means you understand how that system works. Okay, so it's not your regular. So, for instance, you're speaking with somebody from maybe the banking sector or the agri sector. So you should be able to provide help as it were. So that's that. You also have product or program manager. So you should have program manager is somebody who is able to lead in a particular project. So you're trying to build probably a startup in robotics. You should have a program manager. You should have a compliance and control manager. And then you also have the human-robot interaction. That's number 9 on the slide. Human-robot interaction. So it's more or less like a human interface and a user interface. Okay, so it's just about interface, and of course, there's a bit of safety and validation in that. And then the final one, which is something that it always intrigues me because I'm an entrepreneur, a social entrepreneur, is the entrepreneurship aspect of it. In service robots, drones, agri-tech, and assistive technology. So you could decide to own a warehouse where you assemble drones specifically for agri-tech. Maybe it could be UAVs that helps in ensuring your plants production is optimal. There are no diseases and all of that. So there are a ton of areas under the entrepreneurship aspect of robotics. And like I said, it's the new oil, and this is something that I think young Nigerians should start keying into. Like, I mean, just key into some of these areas. And of course, it cuts across the ladder chain for everything I've mentioned earlier, from the software engineering to, you could decide to, under the entrepreneurship aspect, decide to start building specific softwares. Today, NVIDIA is one of the best stocks selling, and of course Tesla. And this is because they've started keying into the robotics aspects of their business, programming into the future and what the future holds as well. So this like I said, this more or less encapsulates the pathways that you have for careers in robotics. Like I said, you could just find your niche and follow truly on that. So now I have this slide. Pardon me, I would have loved to play this, but I think it's about an hour long. But please, if you could just pick up your phone or your device or something, or you could even just write out the text, 20 emerging technologies that will change the world. Scan that QR code, it takes you to the link on that of that video on YouTube. It's very interesting. I would encourage you to make out time at the end of this presentation to scan it. To view it. So just scan it with your phone. It takes you to that link on YouTube, or you could just write 20 emerging technologies that will change the world. It takes you also to that link as well. So I would want to move on, but please let me know if I can move on with an emoji. If you're able to scan it, I would want everybody to scan it, that you can watch it at your leisure. You can watch it at your leisure. And what you're going to find there is going to blow your mind as to some of the technologies that will shape our world. And they are all connected with okay, so I think I can move on, right? Great. But never mind. If you didn't capture the link, I could always come back to the slide. All right, moving on quickly. So what sectors, I mean, let's bring this back home, right? I mean, this is about career opportunities. I would say, as a Nigerian, a young Nigerian, in robotics, right? So now, very quickly, there are a lot of sectors I would have highlighted here, but then, like I always would say, there are probably sectors I might not have captured, and you can bring that up during the Q&A. So the very first one on that list is agriculture and food sector. I mean, agriculture and food sector is huge, like really huge, and robotics has literally started taking a good turn in that area, because from spraying, yield mapping, like I was mentioning, with UAVs, unmanned aerial vehicles, you have small to medium and large scale farmers using agri-tech, robotics. So it could even be so now imagine you have, say, 20 hectares of land of maize or sorghum, 20 hectares. And sorry, I got kicked out again. Why is that?
We can hear you now.
Are we together, please?
Yes. We are with you.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. All right. Thank you very much. So I was making an illustration, and I said, I mean, imagine you have 20 hectares of land of probably sorghum or maize, and then you need to walk through 20 hectares to be able to understand how your crop is doing. I'm sure that would be really frustrating. Like you might not even be able to walk the entire length and breadth of 20 hectares, right? Now, but a robot can do that for you, and a UAV can do that for you by taking a sweep across your farmland, and then it's able to what?
Let's hold on a bit. I guess we have a little network problem at our facilitator's end. I will encourage us to begin to gather our questions. So we've got to understand that we can use this skill on robotics in so many areas. I thought it was limited to sciences, but now is a new thing to me to know that we can use it in agri sector to water our flocks, our crops. So which other way, does anybody know which other way we can use robotics? Maybe from experience, you can raise your virtual hand. Calabar, I'm sure you guys are into STEM. Ikeja, do we have anybody in the house? Abeokuta, are you raising your hand? Oh, okay.
Um, I'm raising my hand.
Okay.
We can use robotics for planting also.
Well,
Like
for planting seeds.
small small seeds. Yeah, it
Okay.
will make work faster than using the.
You've practiced that on your farmland, or you've seen where it's being practiced?
Yes, yes, I've seen it in practice.
Oh, okay. Thank you for your contribution. Port
You're
Harcourt,
welcome.
are you trying to contribute? Please unmute. Go on, sir.
Okay, good morning.
Morning.
Thank you for the program. We can also use robotics in automobile mechanics.
Whoa.
Yes.
Please, can you tell us how?
It is used to detect faults in vehicles.
Oh, okay.
Well, give instruction or even give directive on how to fix the parts that got spoiled.
Okay. Have you used it personally?
No, but I've seen it
Okay.
where they use it.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much, Port Harcourt. Any other person?
Uyo? I raised
Okay,
my
Uyo.
hands.
All right, Uyo, please. Hold on, Prof. Georgina. Uyo, go ahead.
Yes. Okay. So I've seen robotics being used in the hospitality sector.
Okay.
Basically, in big restaurants. Aside from sciences, we are now using it in the hospitality sector. I've seen a robot set food before, and that was quite simple and easy. You place your order from a tablet on the table, and then the robot brings the food right to your table. And that is robotics in the other field of life, hospitality.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So we have the 20 emerging technologies that will change the world. We have the link on the chat box. You might watch after the session at the space that you are in, or you might watch it personally. Benin City.
Okay, thank you, Director Ma. Sincerely, telemedicine is gaining grounds where people no longer need to go to the hospital directly to see the physician or to see their consultants. So, like my school is also trying to work on their telemedicine facilities. And recently we hear that robotics is gaining ground in that aspect. You don't need to talk to real persons. Machines can be automated to attend to patients. So I think robotics is gaining grounds in telemedicine, especially because the whole of telemedicine, people not going to the hospital and talking to real human beings behind the computer, diagnosing their cases and all that through screens is gaining grounds, and institutions are beginning to use robotics to deliver on that component. So robotics is used right now for telemedicine, and institutions are trying to key in. And I also know that robotics are now performing real-time surgeries. And I hear they even do it to precision. I even do it more accurately than humans. So robotics is really gaining grounds, and institutions and organizations are keen in. So aside from using it in agricultural spaces and all that, even in medicine, is gaining a lot of ground in practical researches and all that. Those were the things I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So do we have any other? Ikeja, I would like you to say something. This is your area of specialization.
I've had on using AI in terms of, robotics for security. I was talking to a friend who was trying to build a robot, this bomb sensor. All they have to do is pass it under the car, able to detect what's a particular radius if there is any bomb. So they are trying to build it. So I don't know, I have not yet finished the one. So what how to work on security. Thank you.
To support that, I think I know for sure that it is using surveillance. I think he mentioned UAVs, which is the uses of drone technology to monitor pipeline. This is actually a much in use now. We have some sophisticated drones used to monitor pipelines where food soldiers or Paris cannot monitor. Also, for security to corroborate that, we have some drone devices that monitors or go deep into forest where military or Air Force members or aircrafts do not want to go, so they can deploy drones to monitor where they have target, say, Boko Haram members or any criminals, wherever they may be, especially in forest where they do not want to deploy men into.
All right, thank you so much. So robotics is the future of work, just like our facilitator have said. And I'm sure when
so sorry.
you're welcome back.
Yeah,
Please go ahead.
I actually had to switch devices while I work on the other one.
All right.
I just suddenly got kicked out. So, but pardon me. So I'll be able to share my slide on this. I would have to, if you could just give me a minute while you please go ahead with your discussion so I can be able to share my slide on the other device.
All right. So I was saying robotics is the future of work, and is a great thing that this morning we've been able to learn that we can deploy robotics in so many areas, discipline. We have heard about how it's being used in telemedicine, how it's being used for security, and if most of us that are in the room today can go a bit further from this session, we'll be able to learn how we can make impact even through robotics. Does anybody have something to say before our facilitator will continue?
Yeah, let me
Window
say
on America's
something.
area. Okay.
Good morning, Josephine.
Morning,
Yeah, I think
Martha.
robotics is already operational in so many countries, especially in hospitality sector, where they do the cleaning. You no longer need cleaners to make up the room. They do the cleaning, and sometimes the service. As if you need a room service, they can offer you that. And then in transport sector, we also see speed trains without drivers. You have a lot of them in the Western world where you enter a train that does not have a driver, and so on. I think these are different aspects of robotics. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Martha. I'm sure somebody will be scared to enter a train without a driver, but that's technology for you.
I've actually entered one in Germany and in China, so
Wow.
you have a lot of them now operational.
Good. Great. I'm sure we'll get there. Uyo, do you still want to say something? I can see your hand is up.
Still on the still on the robotic aspect. See, what I understand is that these days it seems to be both the physical robotics and the virtual ones. I want to look at the ChatGPT as an instance. You see, ChatGPT is actually an artificial intelligence, much like the physical robotics would find, which also uses the artificial intelligence for its operation and functionality. So I look at robotics as the future, and I will have a great question to ask maybe at the end of the
during
session,
the question and answer
at the end of the
session.
training session on this. And you see, I've actually used a couple of robotic intelligence for my research, and it makes it quite easy for me. And I see the robotics as being the future, and we can't do without it.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Dutse, Window on America, Dutse. There's a hand up there. Go ahead, please unmute.
Okay, good morning.
Morning.
I think like in aspect of agriculture, robotics will come with a great help because we can use robotics and like use it as pesticide to control the pest in our farm, because that field in agriculture needs constant like attention that we humans, due to our own responsibility and human ego, we cannot like offer that to the crops.
Good.
That
Fantastic.
is all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Port Harcourt, you still want to say something?
Good morning. So my contribution, robotics is highly used in the field of medicine. Robotics has actually improved the field of medicine by helping surgeons to perform surgery on very small tissues in the human body. And not just that, robotics has also helped with the help of prosthetics for patients who suffer spinal cord injury and also stroke patients. So robotics is really doing a lot in the medical field at this point. And also even for brain surgery, robotics is also being used for brain surgery due to these tiny tissues in the brain where the surgeons perform the surgery. So it's more or less very, very important in the field of medicine. So that's my contribution. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Port Harcourt. So we have our facilitator back. So I'd just like to encourage us to put our questions together by the time he's done with the slides. Take over testimony. Thank you. Hello, testimony. Can you still hear us?
Okay. Sorry, do I have the floor, please?
Yes, please go ahead.
All right. Thank you very much. I think I first apologies. I don't know. They just all are the same. So usually I do this with my computer system, but ironically, I have to stick to my mobile. My mobile always comes through every time. So I was on agriculture and food, and how robots helps us unmanned ground vehicles and unmanned area vehicles. I remember very vividly. This experience was I think at the University of Notre Dame in Indiana. I met a professor who I think she had received support from the US government to develop robots that would be helpful in case of fire, in case of earthquake. So you have these robots that can stretch over. I mean, let me not exaggerate because I'm trying to recall exactly the distance. Or so, and can stretch that far, and it keeps what yielding itself. It's something very tiny. It looks like a rope, kind of, okay, like a small pipe, but it can move that distance. Now, imagine the breakthrough in that, and because it's still at the research stage, there's a lot of funding coming in for her so that she can be able to finish up on that research. So, I mean, pipeline inspection, Nigeria is, we always complain about pipeline vandalism and all of that. So if you build a robot today that can help the federal government to be able to combat pipeline vandalism, I think, I mean, that's a huge breakthrough in that regard. So moving on quickly, you also have the health sector where you have prosthetics limbs, exoskeletons, rehab, robotics, and all of that. So you have a whole lot of robots. Link to the video I shared. I think it will give you a proper context of what I'm saying. Automation, warehouse robotics, to use robotics in that.
Hello, Testimony.
And all of that. So you can also use, I mean, this is another measures.
I think his network is breaking.
Yeah. Hello, Testimony. Hello, can you hear us?
Please, can you?
Your network is fluctuating.
I'm surprised it keeps booting me out, but I won't relent. I'll keep sharing my screen.
Yeah.
I won't be deterred.
We shouldn't be.
Security and safety. And I think everybody can hear me loud and clear, right?
Yes, now we can hear you. Before
Okay.
it was fluctuating.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah.
I have minimal control on this regard. All right. So construction and survey, you have robots in construction. I mean, I think I was seeing an innovative idea in China, and I think also in the US, where you have robots helping with a lot of stages of construction and even survey. So the usual tools that are being used in survey, you can now be able to use unmanned aerial devices to help with perimeter survey and all of that. And then last but not the least, which is an area I'm very, very fascinated about because I've been in that area for over a decade, is the education and edtech. So you have maker spaces, curriculum upgrading, competitions, and all of that. You have the, I think initially in my opening remark, I talked about the first robotics team. You have a whole lot of competition, and it was a similar competition I was in at Purdue University in the US, where you had all manner of robots competing for different things. And I think there's this recent competition that was even done, and it was really a big deal, where you have robots racing, like robots actually racing. Like, I think they're trying to even work out something that looks like the Robots Olympic, where it's all just about robots competing in different areas, track and field and what have you. So it's always very interesting to be able to apply some of these cases in the Nigerian context. And I think while I try to wind down, the question I think you should be asking is, what are the skill sets now? Like, what specific skill sets do you begin to start thinking of when you want to talk about learning or building a career in robotics. I mean, because for you to build a career in robotics, it means you should have one or two or multiple skill sets in that regard. And like I mentioned earlier on, when I was talking about pathways as to you trying to build a career. So under the pathways, this is also another very significant area, the skill sets that qualifies you into any of those pathways I had mentioned. So I'll take it one after the other. The first one is the software core aspect. So this is the software exactly. So what softwares do you start thinking about learning that you can be able to learn within your community or within your environment? I'm also going to share some very useful resources just in my next slide. But so softwares like Python, C++, Linux, GitHub, linear algebra, control basics, probability. So, well, for some of these softwares, it's not limited to this, but I'm sure everybody has, for those who are fascinated about the tech environment or tech system, you must have heard of Python. You would probably have heard of Arduino. These are core programming softwares that you can start learning. You can start from the very simple ones. Maybe it could even be, it might not be connected or related. It could even be maybe HTML or PHP programming. You can even decide to go into an advanced area into Python and all of that. So just pick your interest in software and start building on that area, and that would qualify you into gaining a career in robotics. So you could progress into machine learning and all of that. Now, the other aspect is robotics itself. Like, okay, what you would want to maybe start building. I mean, some of these things are still a bit strange. So simultaneous localization and mapping bit of a research on some of these acronyms I'm mentioning. They are really, so you have embedded units, microcontroller units, drivers, sensors. These are some areas you could start resistors, controllers, and all of that. But if you start gaining experience or skills in the software aspect of it, by the time you have the opportunity books and resources that can link you up to some of these things. So you can take advantage of that. Perception AI, OpenCV, PyTorch, datasets, model development. These are also areas you can actually start looking into. Systems. You have the Docker, CI, CID, safety. I talked about safety. You could decide to start taking up robotic safety, start majoring in that actually, because I personally think that would be a very big area in the nearest future, if it's not already something that is really, really strong now, because safety is very, very crucial. As humans, how do we constantly remain safe in the ever-evolving world? And you have the computer-aided designs, Fusion, 360, SolidWorks, 3D printing. I mean, so within the computer-aided designs, you have a whole lot. Some of them are even now progressing into simulation that would help you. So these are skill sets. They are not limited to this. These are some, I probably would consider some of these skill sets a bit of advanced skill sets. You can actually just start from whatever it is you can lay your hands on, or any resource you can find around you, as simple as maybe just getting Python skills or basic programming skills. And I think that's very relevant. So I'll try to wrap up with open source resources that these are some of the resources, because of my experience training in the US, that I think would be very helpful. I visited the Notre Dame lab. I visited the Purdue Smart Lab. These are places where you can find some of these resources. They have open repository places where you can just go online, download the materials, read them, understand them. They can also point you to other forms of resources. And if you're also interested in the hardware, you can also, there are also simulations in some of these resources I'm sharing with you where you can, so in the University of Notre Dame, for instance, you have the Rome lab. It's a GitHub lab. It helps in assistive mobility and robotics repos, exoskeletons, and all of that. It's still an innovation going on. Also in Notre Dame, you have the wearable robotics lab, Wiro lab. It's also a research on prosthetics, exoskeletons, and all of that. And then also in Purdue Smart Lab, it's of course fully open. It's low cost mobile robots, ideal for Nigerian classrooms actually too, where you can. So they are all there. I'm going to share. I also have the tech points in Indiana as well. And like I said, some of these resources you might be able to find a point. You can, if you are the American space or the American corner, you can have some books, some textbooks, some resources that can point you to some of these materials. So very quickly, I'm going to do something which I did earlier on. You're going to scan this barcode. You can just, so I have about 8 listed open resource links that you can find there. So if you scan this barcode, just simply copy any of the items, either number 1, number 2, number 3, put it on Google and follow the link. It will take you to those respective places. So if you do that quickly, so I think that's literally just about it in summary, because I would love to take questions. I really would love to take questions. So once you scan that, I think we're good to go. So you have the US Consulate STEM programs, and then the American spaces, like I mentioned. You have the First Global Team Nigeria, RoboWave Nigeria. There are quite a whole lot. Even in the Nigerian UAV regulatory starter checklist, you can start reading up about the regulations in Nigeria as to what you need to start doing so that you properly reposition yourself to build a very solid career in that area. So I think that's about it. I would want to take questions, and thank you so much for listening. I would want you to connect with me, please, across LinkedIn, Facebook, X, Instagram. Just simply type Testimony Asiagwu, you will find me. Okay. I think that's all for now. Thank you so much for having me, and I would love to hand over to the moderator for questions and answers. Thank you once again.
Thank you very much to Testimony. Please, can we give him a round of applause? All right, so let's go quickly to our questions. If you have your question, you can raise your virtual hand. We need to move very fast now because we've taken so much time. Then please, no greetings, just go direct to your question. Makodi, please unmute and ask your question. Makodi.
Okay. What practical steps can young people in Nigeria take to overcome challenges such as limited funding, infrastructure, or mentorship in robotic development?
All right, thank you. We got you. Testimony, will you like to take all the questions at once, or you want to answer per question?
So that I don't rush over the questions, I want to answer them as they come in.
Okay, please go ahead with Makodi.
So if I get the question correctly, I think, sorry, can you just come again with the question?
He's asking what the challenges.
What practical steps can young people in Nigeria take to overcome challenges such as limited funding, infrastructure, or mentorship in robotic development?
Okay, so you're already taking, I think, a very great step by being, first of all, by being part of the American space in your community and in your environment. And I think that's so that's why you have the US government trying to see how to help young Nigerians in ensuring that you're not limited by some of the challenges that we know as it were. So in a typical American space, you have power supply, you have the internet, you have books and materials you can read. Now, regarding funding, I would always say that when you have the right drive, when you have the right passion, I think funding would always come. It's always not about funding from the very first word, from the very first step. You should just start with the resources available to you, the materials available to you, programs like this that the American Space hosts. These are places where you get insights and opportunities. You could also try to look up to people who have actually been able to make a mark in the country for mentorship and all of that. I think that's one way to be able to build on whatever it is you desire. So and just share resilience. Actually, share resilience. Sometimes you just being unstoppable and trying to be very resilient at what it is you want to do would sometimes open the doors for you. So of course, I wouldn't shy away from the fact that we know that there are challenges, but there are always something that can be surmounted. Thank you.
Thank you. So as a follow-up to his question, testimony, I'm sure there are sites you can go to online to learn on robotics on your own.
Yes, there are.
Okay.
Actually, so yeah. Can I go ahead, ma'am?
We can, yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Okay, so yes, there are places you can go to learn about robotics. But I would always say there is no one-stop repository for robotics learning. It's not, because it's not like I said in my presentation, robotics is actually technically three-phased: the hardware, the software, and the systems integration. So if you want to talk about the software, for instance, of course, there are places where you can learn Python programming for free on the internet. I'll probably let me see if I can drop a link for that. Okay. I think it's W3C. You can get to learn a whole lot of software aspects of Arduino is also there. You can also learn that. So, but as to learning robotics as it were, there is no one-stop repository for learning robotics. What you have is either learning how the hardware works, learning how the software works, or learning how you can integrate it into day-to-day systems. So even in renowned, I think there's the name is not coming to my mind now. In the US, I think they are known for innovations when it comes to robotics. So you could actually go online and find some of the resources available there for you to build your knowledge on. Thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you. Can we have Gafar, please, can you unmute? Tell us where you are watching from, joining us from, and go straight to your question.
Yeah, thank you very much. This is Gafar Abiodun here in Ibadan, Oyo State.
All right.
My question is, how can you make this robotic stuff relevant to elementary schools here in Ibadan or in an environment where there is no much technological knowledge like that, whether it's the hardware, the software, or the system information integration? Which of these can be relevant to elementary schools, and how can you make this robotic relevant to elementary school? Thank you very much.
Thank you for your question. And I think that's an area where testimony is very vast in. Please, can you go ahead, testimony?
Yeah. So locations across the country. At the moment, we're in about 4 locations in Nigeria: Abuja, Delta State, and Rivers State. So we're trying to see how to bridge that gap, to how to start, what, like I would always say, catching them young in the area of robotics. So I think you probably just shoot me an email, or maybe reach out to me via social media, and I can give you a lot of details regarding that. But what we try to do is train the trainer programs, sometimes directly partnering with the school to see how to bring some of these things to your doorstep. I believe that even if it looks like a drop in the ocean, I'm sure someday the difference will be felt. Thank you.
Did you drop your handles on the chat box, or would you like to drop your email, how they can reach you on the chat box?
Okay, so like I said, on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, X, just type Testimony Asiagwu, I'll pop up. And my email is also testimonyasiagwu@yahoo.com. I can type that on the chat. You could also reach me via email.
All right. Thank you very much. Olushesi, quickly unmute and ask your question. While we take, Uyo will be the last. We are
Okay, thank you very much.
All right.
We can use robotics also. We can use robotics for combat, like in military, like going for war and those kind of things to avoid death and so on and so forth. So my question in robotics general, so can they grow mentally, like not growing physically like humans do, like can they grow mentally, like to the extent of having the super intelligence, like, and can they override themselves? Can they override themselves? Thank you.
All right. I think you froze for a moment, but I think I understand your question. As to like, can robotics grow? Oh no. That's because they are not humans.
No,
but
the
then
growing I mean
I
is
think robotics. Okay.
The growing I'm talking about is not physical growth, like intelligence mentally, like to the extent of having a super intelligence instead of.
I think I lost you. Okay, the growth.
He's talking about intelligence. Can they grow to become super intelligent?
Can you hear me, please? Hello?
We can hear you, Testimony.
Yeah, so I think he's.
I can hear him again. I think.
Yeah, just hold on. I think his network is fluctuating again.
For that, absolutely. We have discovered that the battery is continuous. So you have backup batteries built within them, and they can switch batteries. Regarding if they can grow grow with super intelligence on their own, the answer still remains no, actually, to a very large extent, because just like every technology, there has to be more or less like an intentionality in terms of upgrade, in terms, even for ChatGPT, we all know they have to build in ChatGPT 5 and all of that, just so that they can be able to function with new realities and all of that. So to a very large extent, it's a yes and no, but at the moment, I think emphatically no, because you would have to, that would mean that you would have to remodel, rebuild, and that's where, I mean, the whole software programming comes into play. So at the moment, whatever has been programmed for the robot, whatever machine learning and simulation that has been used, it cannot on its own, on its own, reprogram itself to a super intelligence level, except there's, I mean, of course, research is still going on in that regard, like I mentioned, like, I mean, very, very serious research is going on in that regard, but to a very large extent at the moment, I'm afraid I don't think we have that aspect where a robot can decide to upgrade itself in terms of super intelligence.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Uyo, please quickly unmute we've taken so much of Mr. Testimony's time, so we need to round off. Go ahead and ask your question, Uyo.
Okay, my question is, what are those steps or the things that we should put in place now, or a nation should now put in place so that such that in the future, the robotics will not take over human labor in the labor industry or totally displace humans in the labor industry? What are those things that we should prepare in the future such that will not totally eradicate human from the labor?
Please, ma'am, I have two questions. Go ahead quickly. Yes, go ahead, please. Speak fast.
Okay, so, sir, I appreciate your teaching, but I want to ask, based on the skill sets that is required to build a robot, you talked about the multiple skill sets in your presentation, the software, core aspects of Python, C++, and the rest. For a person who has never learned robotics before or robotic science, and is very much interested, has the passion to go into robotics, given the application, the modern day application of robotics, can an individual who has never been in the field of robotics be able to learn these multiple skill sets on his own? From the document you shared, and such an individual learn these multiple skills on his own, and be able to maybe apply such into maybe creating a robot or an artificial intelligence. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Let me quickly respond to that. Starting from the second question, and then I'll come back to the first question. So, just like everything about the knowledge I've acquired today didn't come in just in one day. It took years of interest and study in such areas. So if you have an interest in going into robotics, like I said, I mentioned something when I was talking about software, Python, and all of that, and I said you can even start from as low as learning HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and all of that. Now, it's about progressional learning. Okay, you start from the very least. If you have little or no interest or knowledge in robotics, you can actually build that interest. You can actually build that knowledge. Okay, start from somewhere. Something. I mean, first off, like I said, you at the American space there, you have computers, you have internet, you have electricity. You can start learning on your own. The resources and materials are there. It's a matter of deep interest. I mean, to be able to at least study widely and get a computing skill. No computing skill, as far as I'm concerned, within the area of robotics and STEM and AI and digital skills as well. No computing skill is a waste. For instance, somebody who is in the computer-aided design environment can start learning if as little as UI UX design. Several computer-aided designing softwares are there. You could start learning and building on that knowledge. So there is no knowledge that is a wasted one. All you just need to do is actually just start from what you can find around you, actually, especially when you know and it's a progressional learning, really, really progressional. You don't need to start from the top to the bottom. You actually start from the bottom all the way to the top to build that skills. And that's why some of the resources there are literally open source and everybody can find them at a just setting. Back to the first question, robotics taking over our job. I think emphatically no. The world is just changing and we just have to move. So now imagine when internet was brought, telecoms came into Nigeria. I mean, there are people who were working in Nitel before, who were ensuring that they were helping you to communicate with your loved ones. You will go pay some money and all of that. Now, those people who were working in Nitel, they might no longer be in Nitel, but they also themselves now own mobile phones. Remember also, I mean, in an era when mobile phones also came in, you had people having small kiosks around in Nigeria where you would come and make phone calls and then you pay them some money. That has also evolved. Now, so it's a matter of evolving, okay? The world is rapidly changing. People are not going to lose their jobs. People are only going to find jobs in other relevant fields because they would have scaled in the skill sets they would have acquired to be able to meet the current employability demand. So people are not losing their jobs, actually. People are actually going to probably even earn more, but you just have to reskill. That's it. Thank you.
So Calabar, can you unmute and ask your question?
Yes, ma. So so the one I have here is in my school days I studied mechatronics engineering, and I've worked on several projects like self-driving car, fire detection robot, amongst others. And I don't want to go back to school to be a lecturer. I don't know, is there any firm available where I can go further with my practical skills and really become a robotics engineer that I've studied in school? Thank you very much.
Testimony, did you get that? Did we lose him? Mary Mon. Okay. Hello, Testimony. Okay, let's hold on for him. I'm sure he will get to your question. He's trying to come back online. So do say. Please unmute and ask your question.
Hello, everyone.
Morning. Just go ahead with the question.
Morning. Okay, my question is that can you recommend any type of programming language that is best in order to become a professional robotic software engineer? Because I see that there are a lot of programming languages. So which one is the best in order to become robotic software engineer? Which one is the best to use? That's my question.
All right. I think he shared some software with us earlier in the slides. But when he comes up, we still ask him if he has other ones that I can recommend. Thank you. American Space Ibadan.
Yeah. Good morning.
Morning. Go ahead.
I'm Adrian Uganda, and my question is from this 3D printing. Our presenter mentioned printing why it was presenting. So I want to know the software to install a system for you to be able to go into 3D printing. Thank you.
All right. Code Africa, please, can you tell us your name and where you are joining us from? Then you can unmute and ask your question.
My name is Fabian Jacob. I'm from Tanzania, Arusha.
All right.
I just got the flyer and then I had to join because the topic is so interesting. So I have these questions. I've been doing robotics programming mostly in Arduino. So my questions was, are there gadgets that since we are looking for the gadgets that we can use the gadgets for a small project? So I was just trying to ask if there are the gadgets that in any farm, I don't know where, that are recommended for us to use for programming in the small scale range. So that was my question.
Okay. So we're waiting for our facilitator to rejoin. We have a little problem with his network connection. But if he's not able to rejoin because we've overstretched the time, what I'll do, I got the question from... Okay. All right. Welcome back.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. You probably help me with some of the questions, but I will probably,
Yes.
I know I heard two. I had two. One of them was, sorry, just help me with some of the questions again so that I don't
So
mix them up.
we have the first one from Calabar. He wanted to know, he studied robotics in school, but he doesn't want to lecture with it. So he wants to know if you can recommend some firms that he can work with.
All right. I think I'll probably have to discuss that
With him
to know
personally. He
his
should reach
scope
out to
as
you.
to what exactly he wants. Yeah, you can just reach out to me. Let me know his scope of what he wants to do, and that can help in tailoring what he wants to do. Thank you.
Okay, so Calabar, you can reach out to him. He has shared his email with us, and he told us you can reach him on all the social media platforms. Testimony Asiagwu is the name. So we have the question from Ibadan. He's asking for what software can he use for 3D printing?
What software? Please come again with the question.
What software can he use for 3D printing? Did you get the question?
Hello, are you with me, please?
Yes. Did you get the question? So let's just be a bit patient.
Sorry, can you come again with the question?
Ibadan, American Space Ibadan is asking, what software can you recommend for 3D printing?
Okay, so yeah, I think I had that question earlier on. So the 3D printing most often uses CAD software, computer-aided design softwares. But it would not be professional for me to recommend a particular software for you now, because when you're talking about 3D printing, the software you use for that printing comes with the 3D printer. You can't talk about 3D printing without having a 3D printer. So depending on the brand of 3D printer you are working with, it comes with its own software. So you have 3D printers from different manufacturers. So it depends on the brand you're working with, and it comes with its own. So, but if you want to learn maybe just about 3D printing, just learning about any CAD software design, Unity, AutoCAD, Revit, architecture. So these are some of the CAD softwares that are available. So, but for the 3D printing purpose, there are no specific softwares as it were, because it depends on the 3D printer you're working with. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Then we have a question from Tanzania. The person joined us from Tanzania.
Okay.
We wanted to know the gadgets to be used for robotics programming.
That's a big question.
Or should he reach you on your personal handles?
Yeah, he can reach me on my personal handle, but I can also answer the question to a very large extent here.
Okay,
gadgets used for robotics programming, there are a whole lot of them. I mean, Vex Robotics, Arduino resources, and then you also have a lot of other names in that sector. And that, I mean, you have different robots, actually, different materials that are used for robotics learning. So you don't have one. I mean, if we were to document in terms of figure, I'm sure you'll be talking of over 500,000 resources that are available out there that are used for robotics learning. So it's not one-stop shop thing. So, but of course, we have very popular ones like Vex Robotics, Arduino,
And those are some of the very popular ones you have around.
All right. Testimony, I don't know how much time you have left because this program was supposed to be 1 hour. So I don't know if you can accommodate one more question. Somebody asked a question from Duse. I don't know whether you got that question. I myself, I cannot really remember the question. I think he was talking about programming language or so. Do say if you are still in the house, please, you can ask that question. Then we have young people in our space at Abeokuta. I would like them to unmute and ask their question. Then if do say see there, they can ask, and I think we can call it a day with those two questions. Would that be okay with you?
Yes, please, go ahead.
All right. So Abeokuta, please unmute and ask.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Samson Osufuon. My question is that is there any company or organization you can work with if you know about the robotics?
Fantastic.
Nigeria.
Sorry, please, I didn't get the question. What was the question?
Is there any organization or company?
Please, can you help me with the question?
He said, is there any organization or company you can work with in Nigeria if you know about robotics already? And I guess the young man already knows about robotics.
Yeah, there are a lot. There are a lot, actually. I mean, just recently, I think CNN did a documentary on one of the UAV companies right here in the city of Abuja. And they are really very big. Like they started doing, I think, helping with and even exporting into other African countries. I think they're in the agri-tech sector, helping agricultural small scale and medium scale farmers to be able. So there are a whole lot of organizations you can work with. But like I would always say, robotics is a very broad area. You have to be organizations around your niche. There are a whole lot of them. Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt, and everywhere. And for an organization like mine, we're always very interested in recruiting those within the ed tech space, people who can also pass on these skills to young adults and children as well. So, of course, we're always very keen on recruiting persons who are knowledgeable in robotics and STEM skills. Thank you.
All right. So, do say, please go ahead with your question. 1 minute.
Hello, good morning, everyone. My name is Salim Ahmad, and I'm from Federal University. Do say, my question is, what type of programming language is best when it comes to, in order to become a professional robotic software engineer?
Okay.
Which one is the best?
Okay, to answer your question, I would be wrong, or I would be sounding very unprofessional if I say there is one best software, because at the end of the day, I mean, it still depends on what niche you are interested in building a career in robotics. Because if you're talking about programming, well, you could talk about Arduino programming, Python programming, but if you're talking about building user interface systems or systems integration for robotics, that's where Simulink, MATLAB, and all of that comes in play. So, but my advice would always still remain this: start working with, start learning any programming language, because they all have, at the end of the day, you're able to connect it to any aspect of robotics you want to learn. So even if it's as little, and I keep emphasizing that, even if it's as little as web programming, for instance, it has a way of still getting you to your destination as it were. So there's not one software. There's no one software that gives you an authority in robotics. No, there are multiple softwares. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. With this, we have come to an end of this session this morning, and I would like to appreciate our facilitator for his time and for taking the pain to stay and come over and over again anytime the network knocks him out. Thank you so much, Testimony Asiagwu. We are very glad for the impact that you have made this morning, and we believe that all our participants in all the 29 American spaces that join in the program this morning will be able to make something out of this training even this morning. Please let's give our facilitator a warm round of applause. Thank you so much. Thank you. Mr. Itayo extends his appreciation. He said I should really thank you, even for this session. Thank you. I would like to also inform each and every one of us that our program continues tomorrow with our youth development series by 1:30 p.m. That will be the week 3 of this program. And I know that you have been learning about digital economy. Please, let's come together. Let's tell others about it. Let's invite them. And gradually, the impact that the US government seeks to make, even in the young people in Nigeria, will be evident and will become a reality. With this, I would like to say, have a great week and see you tomorrow. Thank you, everyone. Bye.